Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics, where the news cycle remains alive despite being deep in the midst of a government shutdown. So the question remains, who is
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really think that government shutdown I really think it might push all the way in past into December. I think he's gonna go past this 35-day mark of having the government shut down the last time he was there. I think he's just gonna let it ride, man. Hopefully he doesn't, because a lot of people are hurting right now. But when you got that much money and you have never tasted poverty in your entire life, why would you care about people that's going through it?
winning this particular shutdown? And if you can believe it, there's been quite a few shifts in just a few weeks. All that we've been through in just a few weeks. You realize it was only a few weeks ago I got cut from the freshman basketball team and asked if I could play with the eighth graders. That's how this Trump 47 administration feels. Here's where we started.
Walk us through what the numbers are saying about who Americans are blaming right now.
Yeah, I just saw the speaker up there trying to place the blame on Democrats, but I got to be honest with you. You look at the polling data and they simply put not buying Speaker Johnson's arguments. What are we talking about? Well, why don't we just blame more for the 2025 shutdown? Normally, when you see Republican on the screen, that's a good thing because they're leading. But in this case, it's a bad thing because more Americans are blaming him for the shutdown. And you can see it's a sweep across the board. You look at the New York Times.
I'll be honest with you. If you've actually looked into any of this, even the smallest amount, you would know damn well it was the Republicans that was the one that caused that, because they wanted to give money to millionaires and billionaires and tax cuts and all that crazy stuff. They do not care about people's health care or anything, because they are not on those types of plans. They're not getting no EBT cards or any of that kind of stuff. Not even education wise. Their kids are getting like the best education that money can buy. So, I mean, you got to put it on who it needs to be put on. If you got to throw some shit on somebody, you better throw it on the right person.
Poll. Blame Republicans more by 7 points. How about the CBS poll? Came out yesterday. Blame Republicans more by 9 points. How about the Marist University poll? Blame Republicans more by 12 points. And then the Washington Post poll takes the cake, blaming Republicans more by 17 points. You average it all together, and we're talking about a double-digit margin in which more Americans are blaming the Republicans than the Democrats. Now, perhaps that shouldn't be so surprising to students of history. Why? Because we've had a number of shutdowns in the past. And which party almost always, or basically always, seems to get blamed? It's the Republican Party that always seems to get blamed, whether it's the 95, 96 shutdowns.
Let's be honest. They got blamed because they're usually the one that's in the shit and trying to hide things, because they know a lot of their people, they don't read up on any of this stuff, man. They just go by whatever they say.
2013 or the 2018, 2019 shutdowns. And more importantly, what I think is so important is we are still at the beginning of this shutdown, right? What happens right now in the polling may not necessarily hold going forward. But historically speaking, what we've actually seen is that the party that gets blamed at the start of the shutdowns, 95, 96, 2013, 2018, 2019, is the same party that gets blamed by the end of the shutdown. So at this point, more Americans are blaming the Republicans than the Democrats. And historically speaking, those margins have tended to hold.
Now, that is fascinating information. I can't speak to 95, 96. Shout out to Harry Enton for that. I can't speak to the historical preference to blame Republicans, but in my recent view, I certainly can. Oh, yeah. I in my recent view, I'm like, oh, yeah. I know accountability isn't your thing. But here's what's fascinating. What I would have thought was that the party in power would be the ones to blame for the shutdown, which would be a natural, logical conclusion to come to. But one thing that we have in fact learned, and we'll circle back around to this point, is that you can never accuse the American voting populace of being logical.
This is an American public that more so than ever before I've looked at the polling is willing to go to a shutdown. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. What Americans wanted pre-shutdown? Well, traditionally speaking, I got the 2013 numbers. The majority of Americans want compromise, no shutdown. You go back to 2013, just 33% said stand on principle, even if it means a shutdown. Come to
What are we doing here? You didn't knock me all the way to the end.
Yes, it came
That ain't
even worse when we know what the White House thinks. Breaking point. Let's make that clear. Now, that's where we were when the shutdown began. Remember that whole thing about new leadership? Exclusive. Why the White House is logical.
This is an American public that more so than ever before I've looked at the polling is willing to go to a shutdown. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. What Americans wanted pre-shutdown? Well, traditionally speaking, I got the 2013 numbers. The majority of Americans want compromise, no shutdown. You go back to 2013, just 33% said stand on principle, even if it means a shutdown. Come to this side of the screen, we see an even split, right? 50% of Americans say they want a compromise, no shutdown. But up like a rocket, standing on principle, we see now 49%, basically an even split on Americans either want.
I can only imagine who the 49% was to say stand on principle. You're an idiot. Like you always got to compromise at least a little bit in areas that don't actually move the needle in a certain kind of way. You're just kind of being petty a little bit, you know what I mean? But for it to be 50% compromise, not no shutdown, and 49% stand on principle, man, it just you can see why we are where we are.
A shutdown, or in fact saying they want their side to stand on principle. I think we're hearing a lot of that from Chuck Schumer.
That's right, Chuck. And we've been there for a while. We've been there for a while. Yeah, Democratic leadership, all y'all, we need all the midterms. You know, we could be in a better position now if y'all actually took the temperature of the party. But no, get on my nerves. You know,
which group has shifted the most in terms of compromise or not?
You know, it was so interesting to hear those clips of Chuck Schumer being played back from 2013, from all those past shutdowns.
And just from March, right?
So I'm guessing in the back they told her, "Hey, we want you to go out there and look like the Republican, I guess, overlay, because she is dressed up just like it." That's just crazy. But let's be honest. The Democrats showed you everything possible that you shouldn't do if you want to win an election. They did everything. Like, they checked every single box. They ain't missed no boxes. They even went for extra credit. And now we're here.
Potential shutdowns. And what has changed significantly is Republicans have always been willing to basically say, you know, we should shut down the government and stand on principle. But now Democrats, a significantly larger portion of Democrats say, you know what, let's stand on principle. What Democrats want to pre-shut down? You go back to 2013, just 18% of Democrats said stand on principle. The vast majority, 76%, 3 in 4 Democrats said compromise, no shutdown. Look at this side of the screen. Look at this percentage that said stand on principle back in 2013. It was 18%. Now it's 47%, more than double. In fact, nearly triple the percentage of Democrats now say stand on principle as compared to 2013. We see a much more even split among Democrats.
Now, granted, I can understand that on their side, because of the simple fact that they're throwing in things like stuff dealing with healthcare and different things that actually help the people, the less fortunate, the middle class, people below the middle class. Like, I can see why they would stand on principle right now. But at the end of the day, people are hurting, and Republicans are going to look like straight demons before all this. I mean, red is red, so.
The 52% who say compromise, no shutdown, the 47% who say stand on principle, within the margin of error of each other, what we're seeing is a Democratic Party that is much more so than ever before saying, you know what, let's shut down the government, even if it means no compromise, so that we can stand on principle.
Now, I think it's worth noting here that the idea that fresh new leadership for the Democratic Party was needed is only reinforced by the growing chorus to stand on principle that was silenced all the way up until we reached this breaking point. Let's make that clear. Now, that's where we were when the shutdown began.
Where we now?
Remember that whole thing about new leadership? Exclusive. Why the White House is convinced it's winning the shutdown. Yeah, I gotta. Well, I mean, the White House can be convinced of anything. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Trump just a few weeks ago posted a video of himself speaking that he didn't know was AI. So what the White House thinks basically means what came across Trump's For You page. That's all that is. The only one more delusional than the White House is Paul Pierce.
I'm walking here
I don't know, Keith. This is your friend.
in my robe,
Get your friends.
no shoes on,
Somebody save him.
bare feet.
No.
If what?
If the Celtics lose tonight,
Oh my God.
oh, don't do it, Paul. I'm walking.
Paul. Not tonight.
I'm telling you right now.
Is he really
This is
walking?
crazy, dog. I can't believe this. C's got me out here like this, dog. I'm sweating.
Was he walking for real with like no shoes on, just bare feet? I would walk there barefoot anyway on them concrete streets. But was he wearing a bathrobe also? Paul Pierce is stupid.
Shite.
Oh.
I had this article and now it's blocked. I was literally reading it earlier. That's why you can't close. Oh, wait. There we go. I didn't close it. Hey! I didn't close it. Okay. Exclusive. Okay. The White House political operation is telling congressional Republicans to hold firm on the shutdown, citing internal and external polling that show Democrats' numbers are eroding. Since the shutdown started, Democrats have boasted that public opinion is on their side, but the trend line appears to be shifting, according to internal White House polling data viewed by Axios. Democrats are taking on water, and we have a higher pain tolerance, a senior administration official told Axios. Congressional Democrats' net favorability rating has decreased 6 points in 2 weeks, while Republicans' number ticked up 4 points. As of the latest polling, 33% of voters view congressional Democrats favorably, compared to 54% who view them unfavorably. That's a net negative rating of minus 21%. The GOP's rating is also a net negative at minus 8%. 48% in the internal White House polling blame the shutdown on President Trump and the GOP-led Congress. 38% blame Democrats. I know. It sounds like it's a whole fire. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. This should be a 5 alarm. Because public opinion has shifted a net of 7 percentage points against the Democrats. 2 weeks ago, Democrats had a 13-point advantage on who was to blame. Now that lead has been cut by more than half. The trend line of the White House's polling numbers are consistent with YouGov/Economist surveys that show Democrats taking more blame as the shutdown grinds on. Democrats, how you blow a 13-point lead? Like how you blow a 13-point lead? We're gonna have to add this to the Warriors, how you blow a 3-1 lead, and the Falcons, how you blow a 28-3 lead. And also Jermaine Jackson, how you blow a Hazel Gordy lead. Yeah, I mean that, Jermaine Jackson, because Michael was your brother. He would have jumped on any hook that you wanted, and you married the daughter of the head of the record label, and you couldn't get a solo situation or nothing? Like,
Guess he couldn't. A 13-point lead. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. don't think of me of picking any side. I don't like. I don't pick Democrat or Republican. I would be independent because they both do stupid stuff. But on this one, if you read the brass taxes of things, of what one is wanting over the other, I just kind of look at it as one, the Republicans is looking for more payouts, but not for the right people. Democrats is looking to help the people, but they're really bad at branding. They're bad at getting their information out. Like they're really bad at a lot of that stuff all the way around, which has really been it's really pretty crucial because I see way more stuff with Republicans saying stuff all the time, more than I see Democrats actually pushing back or actually saying anything about what is actually not being done or what wasn't in there. They just don't. They're not out there that much, unless I'm missing something.
You know, not only that, they couldn't get you no better ink for your head. You walking around in your later life looking like that? I mean, come on, Jermaine. Come on, Jermaine. Michael would have wanted better for you. I know that. And I want better for the Democrats. Now, does this mean I don't have to pay my school loans? What about my car loans? Now, because it's shut down too. The administration shut down the government because they would rather punish you than work together to make things better for you. But you know this already. Did you know that this administration and the government shut down their willingness to protect your privacy? That was done years ago, and we're still feeling the effects. Our government rolled back a rule that would have required data brokers to get your consent before selling your information. This has empowered data brokers who take all the information they can find and sell it to the highest bidder without your knowledge, which makes it even worse when we know the government lets them do it. Legally, data brokers do have to remove your private information if you tell them, but of course they make it as hard as possible to do so. They want you to feel hopeless and stuck. Sound familiar? And this is where today's sponsor, Aura, comes in. Aura does the hard work for you, constantly scanning the dark web and submitting opt-outs on your behalf. Give Aura a few weeks and you'll stop seeing your information on these sketchy sites when you search yourself. Aura makes it much easier. Aura doesn't just opt you out of data brokers, though. Their app includes other features like dark web monitoring, fraud alerts, a VPN, and more. It's truly a great deal if you want to be more private and protected online. You can go to my link, aura.com/Reese Waters, to try 14 days for free. Again, that's aura.com/Reese Waters. And that 14 days is enough time for Aura to start scrubbing your personal information off these data broker sites automatically. How you blow a 13 point? How? How did that happen? I'm sorry. Are you once again asking for logic from the same voting populace that you just previously said can never be accused of being logical?
Let me finish my question, dog.
Man, man.
Let me hear the question.
You don't have
man.
the answers.
I'm asking you for the answer. It's a question.
That's fair. That's fair. That is a fair point. That is a fair point. I'm just trying to figure out how this man was posting memes in the days before the shutdown. If you have that lack of willingness to get in and negotiate before the shutdown, you have just indicated your feelings about keeping the government open. So why would you ever shed any blame during the course of the I don't understand that. If you're posting memes, you get the blame whenever anything goes wrong. When I was working as a paralegal and they were supposed to bring out evidence that exonerated the client and it was a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, that was my fault because I was looking at memes when I was preparing all the exhibits. I get the blame. That's my fault. I was looking at memes. How is this? How do you ever shed any blame when that's the way you went in to the shutdown? Here's a question I have for you. If you ran into a shop owner on the street and he said, why don't you come by the shop? We got a deal on cold cuts. I give them to you for half price. And then you show up to the shop and he says, oh, you know what? I changed my mind on my way down here. So yeah, no deal. You would be cool with that? You would continue to trust that particular.
No. And any logical person, no. And anybody that's crazy and desperate, you might got stuck up for them cold cuts.
Shop owner, if that's how they treated you. Now imagine the president did it with the prices of everything. He told you prices were going to drop. He told you how much more affordable life was going to be and told you by Christmas that wasn't going to happen. How are you still trusting this man and his agenda? Make it.
The only way that they could still be trusting him in that aspect would be the fact that they are only going off what he says. They going off how they feel. They looking at his tweets and all that other bullshit. And they ain't looked at nothing, no black and white, which is kind of how we got here to this point anyway. People just, they don't, I don't know. Quite a bit of people just don't educate themselves on nothing. They take whatever word they see on the screen and then just run with it. In the age of all this easy access information, this is the time people really don't be looking at it or using it. It's wild. Well, he made me feel. What you mean he make you feel? Like, facts aren't feelings. So you need to go get the facts. Because the feelings is dumping everything. And you got people dunking on your head because you voted and, you keep whining after the facts and brass taxes is he don't care about you.
I just, we just went through 2024, which made no logical sense. We've gone through the first several months of Trump 47, his institution of Project 2025, which he disavowed the entire time. We've had FAFO season left, right, and center. And yet somehow their messaging is still effective and moving and changing public opinion. How, Sway?
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
Harry, it's been almost 1 year since the election. Well, how are voters feeling right now about the president?
Sometimes I think it's worth taking that 35,000 vote view. And as far as the American people are concerned, Trump could be better known as Steady Eddie. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we take a look here? Favorable view of Donald Trump. You go back to October of 2024, 44% of the American public viewed him favorably. Now, despite everything, look at this, 43%, which is well within the margin of error of that 44%. And here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done.
With you. I don't understand it either. It almost seems like somebody might be skewing the numbers, or as they say, somebody fudging some numbers. Because that don't make no sense to me. But I know there's a lot of people with a lot of money who everything he's doing is not affecting them, not even a blink of an eye. It just don't make no sense. I don't get it.
I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. Yeah. Because even their own behavior with regards to the midterms and the widespread gerrymandering, the need to try and distract and deflect from all opposition indicates that even they don't believe this yet.
Yeah, the numbers say otherwise.
If they believe this, they wouldn't be moving like they are. I can tell you that right now.
What do you see is underneath that and driving that? Why is he basically the same?
Okay, to quote the esteemed caller, Dennis Green, the former head coach in the National Football League, Donald Trump is who the voters thought he was. What are we talking about here? Well, Is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign? Yes, 52%. The majority of Americans say that Donald Trump is doing what he promised compared to 48% who said no. So what essentially is going on here is the voters expected all of this.
Crazy thing is he would be right. He is actually doing what he said he was going to do. The problem is what he is doing. He did it all at once. Like, you got 3 years. Like, why would you do every single thing in the first few months when you get in office? That is like pure greediness. It's like you think you're going to pass away or something, or something else could happen. Like, only person that does like a bucket list type situation is they just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and they ain't got much time to live. So they're gonna fit everything in. It would have worked out way better. And people probably wouldn't have noticed as much if he stretched it out over the 3 years instead of dumping everything on everybody right now, because it really feels like it's been like 2 or 3 years. It ain't even been a year yet. This is the same thing that happened last time. He's like it's like a guy that's like a time guy. He just messes with time.
From Donald Trump. The majority did, and that is why his favorable rating, simply put, has not really moved all that much compared to where it was a year ago. Trump is basically doing what the American people thought that he was going to do. Indeed, if you look at the numbers, Trump has basically the steadiest favorable rating this much through a presidency of any president on record, and it's basically where he was a year ago, good enough to get him reelected.
Okay, do you know who I want you to tell that Trump is doing what he promised? First, I want you to tell the farmers. Further, I want you to tell the farmers. I want you to tell all of the factory workers. I want you to tell the Latinos for Trump. Oh, he lied. He meant, yeah. I want you to tell Latinos for Trump. I want you to tell them that. I want you to tell the manosphere, all the right-wing podcast bros and the comedians. This is not what I voted for. Tell Rogan and them. That's what you. I want you to all. That's what I need you to tell them. That right. Just send the clip. It'll work as an attachment.
So then what are you saying is how this is impacting midterms?
Yeah, okay. So one of the questions we basically had as we've gone on through the numbers, right, is that Democrats have not been able to run away with it. And now we know it's basically because Donald Trump is where he thought he was, which was good enough for the Republicans to maintain control of the House last time around. Look at this, the race for Congress, Dems versus Republican margin. You look at the New York Times poll, it was tied a year ago at this point. Now it's Democrats +2 within the margin of error. Look at Yahoo, YouGov. It was +3 Democrats at this point a year ago. Now it's +4. Maybe the Democrats have gained a little bit, but in reality, Kate, what we're really seeing is that the American public is pretty much steady. They are basically where they were a year ago at this point. Maybe Democrats can take control of the House where the polling is right now, but maybe not, because the bottom line is we've seen numbers fairly similar to what we have right now. We had it a year ago, and it was not good enough for Democrats to take control. The bottom line is
I'm really hoping they're wrong on all this, and it is gonna be a dump off of seats that the Republicans lose. Because if not, fuck a cold winter. It's gonna be a whole cold 2026 for a lot of people. Like, this is crazy with all the stuff coming up, like all the stuff going up. I mean, talking about tariffs are gonna help people. Like, you're an idiot. That's not how tariffs work at all. Tariffs don't work like that.
this. As long as Donald Trump is where he is, Republicans will, in fact, remain competitive. If they, in fact, gain a little bit, it really would not be that surprising to me if Republicans were able to maintain control of the House, especially given their redistricting efforts in many of those states.
But see, that's your contradiction right there. That is your contradiction. Their aggressive need to break all precedent and redistrict aggressively the way that they have tells you that this is not how they particularly see things. But what I will say, though, is that if it's close, it's going to go bad. This is going to be like watching a Chiefs game. This is going to be like watching a Chiefs game, because we know that it's MAGAs embedded in a lot of these states, and their adherence to the Constitution is in word only. We know that. We've also seen, widespread suspicion at some of the counts that came out of the blue wall states last time around. And we know Elon Musk and his Skylink will be floating around here somewhere. You know, they done somehow got back together and think we forgot that he just openly said he was on the Epstein files and he was swaying in the White House in the Oval Office off the dog food with a black eye. They just, you know, they Men in Black. Y'all ain't see nothing. Y'all ain't see nothing. And that's not to mention him, just doing a soft launch of a military presence on the ground now. And you don't think that's something that they got their eye on for next year while people are trying to exercise their constitutional right to vote?
A federal judge blocked President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Portland. The president is losing in court on this, but is he losing in the court of public opinion? CNN chief data analyst Harriet, who just made a lap around the entire studio.
I don't know what that was. I guess they're thinking I need more exercise.
You showed up here at the wall at the exact right moment. What's public opinion saying right now about the use of National Guard troops, the deployment into cities?
Yeah, it's a political loser, John. It's a political loser. Donald Trump may think it's a political winner, but it's a political loser. Oppose Trump deploying in a U.S. city, active duty U.S. military, 61%. The National Guard in particular, 58%. When you get 3 in 5 Americans agreeing on anything, you know if that is on the opposition side, it's a political loser. And among independents, who are, of course, that key block in the middle of the United States political electorate, we're talking about 2/3 of independents there and about who oppose the deployment of either active duty U.S. military or National Guard into U.S. cities.
What are the questions that people are asking, or what are the issues they see with these deployments?
Okay, look, I think it's that they don't buy Donald Trump's case for why these troops must go into the U.S. cities. So the New York Times essentially gave you a two-pronged little answer here, right? Trump may use the National Guard to intimidate rivals, or big city crime will spiral out of control if the troops don't go into cities. What you see here is the majority that takes the case is that Trump may use the National Guard to intimidate political rivals at 51%. Just 42% of Americans agree with the Donald Trump stance that, in fact, big city crime will spiral out of control if the National Guard doesn't go into U.S. cities. So essentially what we're seeing here is Donald Trump's making a case, the Democratic opposition's making another case, and the Democratic
Problem with that is if he gonna be trying to stand the National Guard in the places that he say is like crazy war zones, what does he think he did with these tariffs and businesses shutting down, people getting fired, or layoffs, and they not having anything coming in, no food stamps, no nothing. Like what? So what is he doing? Setting up for what's to come, and he's the one that started the fire. So he's supposed to come in like the firefighter now with no fire extinguisher to put out the fire. But it turns out that he's the one with the gasoline and the matches that started the fire in the first place. Because that's just crazy. You would talk about places being war zones, and we clearly know they're not. But you slowly started a fire that would burn away, that would cause people to do these kinds of things that you're talking about. It's like he's setting up for something.
opposition case is winning here, and that is a big reason why what you see is you get about 3 in 5 Americans saying they don't want troops going into U.S. cities.
You have another really interesting way at looking at this.
ICE going into cities ain't even good right now. Like they're arresting people that are Americans. They're arresting black people that are Americans. Like you can't sit around there and have an ICE situation set up ran by a bunch of racist ass people. All they're gonna do is go back to their roots, which is grabbing the wrong people for the wrong stuff, just coming up with anything. Stay on task, fool.
The President Trump seems uniquely focused on Portland, on Memphis, on these cities and crime there. What do voters think he should be focused on?
Okay, so if you saw the opening slide on this segment, right, it was, has Trump taken his eye off the ball? The American people believe, yes, John Berman, Donald Trump has taken his eye off the ball. There is too much focus on putting troops into U.S. cities. 52%, the majority of Americans agree that the Trump admin is focusing too much on that. Where do they want him to go? They want him to focus on lowering prices. 75% say there's too little focus on.
And that's something he said he was going to do that he ain't done because everything keeps going up.
lowering prices. This is the reason that Donald Trump was put into office, was to lower prices. And at this particular point, 3 in 4 Americans say there is too little focus. Donald Trump is focusing on the wrong things, and they don't like the way he's going about it. And this, my friends, will tell the entire story if it holds a year from now, going into the midterm elections. If the Republicans lose control of the House, dare lose control of the Senate, it will be because they believe that Donald Trump has lost focus. He is not keeping his eye on the ball, and they believe he is not focusing enough on lowering prices.
So let me get this straight. A majority of Americans oppose National Guard troops in U.S. cities. A majority of Americans believe that he would use National Guard troops in U.S. cities to intimidate political rivals, which is completely outside of any consideration or discussion that we've had prior to this point. A majority of Americans believe that he would do that with the National Guard in U.S. cities. Furthermore, 75% believe that he's dropped the ball, taken his eye off the ball, and has given too little attention to lowering prices, which is what he ran on, and they have in fact gone up. So we're talking about an unpopular deployment of troops in U.S. cities, a belief he would use them to intimidate rivals, and 75% saying too little on lowering prices, and they've gone up. But yet still a majority of those polled said he is doing what he said he was going to do, and his popularity remains steady.
Sound like some fishing is going on there.
Why is it that the Democrats, in my mind, are facing more pressure, those Democratic leaders? And that is because their base thinks that their party leaders are weak. Look at this. Democrats on who has strong leaders. Look at this. 54% say neither party, 54% of Democrats say neither party has strong leaders. Among Republicans, 80% of their base thinks Republicans have strong leaders. Yet among Democrats, just 35% of Democrats say their party has strong leaders. When you add together this 54% with this 11%, we're talking about 2/3 of Democrats who say neither party or Republicans have stronger leaders, as compared to just 35% who say their own parties have strong leaders. As I said at the top, weak is how Democrats view their leaders in Washington.
But the facing more pressure too, does this suggest, and we'll continue with this, but the question then is, does this suggest that the pressure is for them to cut a deal or to stand against what they think is what Republicans want? That remains kind of the question in and of this. But getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Who gets stuff done?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the other thing. It's not just that Democrats think that their party leaders are weak. They also think they don't get anything done. I mean, take a look here. Okay, Democrats and who get things done. Again, it's just 50. We get this 50% of Democrats say neither party gets anything done. Just 41% of Democrats say their own party gets stuff done. When you add in this 9% of Democrats who say the Republican Party is more likely to get things done with neither party, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who say neither party or.
That is just crazy. I don't know if that was great honesty or just pure stupidity at this point. I have no idea. If the Republicans get stuff done, they get stuff done that no one actually wants except their donors and millionaires and billionaires. If you want to go with that, then I guess you could say they might. Politics is such a slippery slope, I would say. It's a slippery slope.
Republicans are more likely to get things done than the Democratic Party. And again, that is the complete inverse of how Republicans feel, because 77% of Republicans think their own party leaders are likely to get things done, compared to just 41% of Democrats, about half that level, who think their own leaders get things done. Again, Democrats just don't think very highly of their party at this point, and that is why there's so much pressure on those leaders, in my mind, in Washington to actually do something that satisfies their base.
It's crazy.
I ain't gotta say nothing. Just look at the numbers. Look at that. Here you go. Hey. Yeah, just look at that. Look at that. There you go. You got it. Hey, don't take that in the bathroom. We'll leave it right here till you come out. All right. But it's all in there. It is all in there. I don't want to hear. Now, hey, forget all the opining. That's what the numbers say. And by the way, about these midterms, that y'all just supposed to stay in the closet until the midterm. We got a plan for the midterm. We just gonna be quiet to the midterms. Is that so?
This is what Democrats are looking at in terms of a challenge to take back the House. The current balance of power with those vacancies, if they are filled the way we expect them to be, it would be 220 seats for the Republicans. There it is, 220 for the Republicans, 215 for the Democrats. And that would mean Democrats really would only need a net gain of 3 seats to get the House. Now, keep in mind, Republicans are trying to redraw maps in a number of states right now to boost that total. So there may be more of a pad here for Republicans than meets the eye when you just look at this balance of power. So that's one challenge for Democrats. But of course, Democrats are hoping that this goes like the midterm did in Trump's first term. And if it did, this would be nothing, because Democrats gained 40 seats. It was a blue wave in Trump's midterm. So the thing about that midterm the first time around was you could see it coming from a long way away. October 2017, more than a year out, the generic ballot asking folks, which party do you want to see control Congress? Democrats were leading on average in the generic ballot by nearly 8 points. And this was the level they basically maintained through all of 2018, right up to Election Day, right up to the blue wave when they gained 40 seats and flipped the House. So where is the generic ballot right now? Well, Democrats lead it, but not by nearly as much. It's a 3-point average lead for Democrats on the generic ballot now. So again, this is not terrible news for Democrats, but there was clarity even at this point in 2018 that something was coming. This number suggests.
What is this dude talking about? That is more than half. Like, how you go from 7.5 to 3.0 and you say that, man, bro, like, go sit down somewhere, because more than half, that's a lot. That is a huge chunk. And yeah, no, I'm not seeing it. They need to step their game up. Stop acting like chumps. Act like you got some balls, bulls, or a strong spirit to want to lead the people and get them back. Or you just gonna get donkey kicked in the ass. Actually, you're gonna get kicked by something else, a straight up elephant, stomped out. It's horrible.
Yeah, you're not at that point right now. And one of the reasons Democrats may not be at the point has to do with this, the image of each party. Again, looking back here at October of 2017, if you looked at all the polling back then, neither party was popular, but one party was a lot less popular than the other. Republicans in Trump's first term, 27% average favorable score at this point. Democrats were up at 39%. There was a pretty clear imbalance there. It worked to the favor of Democrats. What do you have right now when you run these same numbers? Well, again, neither one's popular, but the Republicans are sitting at 41 favorable. The Democrats at 35 favorable. The Democrats are less popular than the Republicans now. And that's one of the things when you look at midterm elections, the opposition party counts on getting a bit of a boost.
I really think they're not favorable or as popular is because they sitting around not saying shit. I don't know what all this, like, sitting in the back room trying to secretively do things, if the other one are out there yelling with megaphones and shouting and shooting out flares and, throwing shots and everything at everybody. That just don't make no sense to me. Sound like you need to get back and, throw some shots yourself, because this is going to be a bloodbath if they go in and they keep pussyfooting around like they doing. It's just ridiculous.
boost just from being sort of the protest vehicle for anyone who's got issues with the White House. Democrats, though, with numbers like that, you got to worry a little bit. Are people wanting to send a message to them as well, Gabe?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why you thought it would be magically different. Hey, there you go. And by the way, you do have some extremely popular members of your caucus. Maybe spend less of your time criticizing and muzzling them. You know?
That be the problem. That's the reason why so many people are talking about that they need a regime change in the Democratic Party because, call it ageism. I'm not with all those stupid terms that people like to use, but the old thinking, that shit's got to go. Like, you need to retire. They need to have less terms. Like, you need to go. Okay. Because quite a bit of them in there doing stuff now. I wasn't even alive when they first started, in office and running and doing the things that they're doing. They need to go. I'm sorry. Because infighting is stupid. That's the one thing you can say about, I guess you can say about Republicans is they do stick together, like regardless to a fault. Even if the whole ship is burning down, they're like, oh, you know what? It's not that bad. If I go stand in the freezer, I won't burn. It's cool. It's cool. The ship's going down. I'm in the water. I got like an even balance right now. But Democrats are literally throwing gasoline on each other and lighting them on fire when the boat's already on fire. That's just stupid. It's really, really stupid. It's not a good game plan. And you actually trying to muzzle the people that's actually speaking out is dumb because this secret behind the wall crap you doing ain't got you nowhere. You lost everything. Now you got to fight to get it back. Then you're going to fight getting it back sitting at the dinner table talking about it. Or you're going to strap your boots up tight and get your goofy ass out there and start making some shit shake, rattle, and roll. Start throwing some shots at some people. Ridiculous.
That might be, I don't know. I don't know. It feels like joining the Republicans, who clearly have identified where the problem spots lie, the potential holes and chinks in their armor that could be exploited by specific individuals in your caucus. They clearly have identified the targets they see as threats. Maybe stop joining them in your criticism. But then again, I don't know. Let's see how low it can go. How low can you go? How low can you go?
To the floor.
Hey, now is not the time. To the windows, to the wall. I know you still winning the shutdown, but look at the trend lines. Tighten up. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. And as you can see, we made it 6.
Man, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna leave the link in the description for for this brother Reese Waters. I'm telling you, man. Me getting back and checking out some politics stuff and actually, I would say reacting to it and putting it out here because I've been watching him for a while now anyway. But I figured, how about I post what I'm watching while I'm watching it so we can watch it all together and see how much this shit show is really putting on a show. And Reese Waters brings a lot of good comedy that I like to it. It's been really nice watching him. So go check out his channel, as well as I'm gonna leave the link to the description to this video. Um, I all I can say is Democrats, you need to tighten it up. Like you really need to come together and just start coming in like 300. You know what I mean? This is Sparta and kicking people down a hole or something because you lost everything and you're not even fighting to try to get it back for the people, as well as you did everything you're not supposed to do to try to win an election and you're still fucking up while you got the Republicans just burning everything to the ground, which is crazy to me as well because if you don't have any workers, you don't have any worker bees, you don't have any people underneath you doing well, then as they always usually say, the poor will eat the rich. So you keep playing games if you want to, but that's gonna backfire. And people in your party is gonna start backfiring on you too. And out of the two, between the MAGA and regular Democrats and stuff, you turn on MAGA people, they gonna come for you for real. And now finally, I guess the other side, the donkey is kicking back at the elephant, out in the streets or whatever. But that's just my take on it. I might do some more reactions from him because I find him funny. I will say, leave your comment in the section down there. Subscribe. Let me know what's going on, what's in your brain, how you feeling. I hope you're doing all right out here because it is it's getting tough. Winter is coming for real. So I guess we all gonna be in for a ride. So let's see how this plays out. I guess I will catch y'all later from another reaction from me. Peace.